Wow. Love this kind.
Don't turn it down.
So mess it up.
Well, that's what happened to the sound last time, is it wasn't turned on.
What was on? I could see it.
Well, something was wrong last
I
time.
think last time it was because we had to move everything for the election.
Unplugged.
And I think that when Terry and I did that,
It's on now. Normally I can turn it down without messing it up.
All right, well, hopefully we're all good. I hate when stuff just comes on by itself.
we were driving the other day and we were driving like by the airport and my radio turned on.
Well, that,
It was a little creepy.
It's on your second, you're like.
that AM tool that high tech put on there.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I haven't had it pop up for me yet. I haven't had to download anything.
The brother needs to update. Do you want to call high tech and ask him, can you do
And
that?
that's what it says. It says you-
Puts a big thing on there for high tech and you gotta hit. And it says someone will call you.
okay, okay.
All right, can you guys hear me on there? Somebody speak and tell me if you can hear.
It's
I know, I want to make sure this works. So Cooper, can you hear?
Just like that.
I like it.
And it's up there.
Yes, I hear.
there you go.
Thank you. All right, 7:30, September 10th, 2024. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gilman?
Here.
You guys?
Here.
See here? Duncan?
Here.
Berenger?
Here.
And Attorney Kuster.
Here.
All press. Okay. Comments from the community for items not on the agenda. We'll hear first from Mr. Hott.
Again.
Michael Hott, I am one of the people. I am hereby right for redress of grievance. I come in the peace and love of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. May the Holy Spirit touch and soften every heart here to know his truth. Amen. Last month, the board asked me to provide a specific example of how the rights of the people are being violated. The following, and I gave Angie a copy of it, is an educational piece to teach township officers how to spot election violations by the state and county agencies using constitutional provision, maxim of law. The main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, public liberties, and upholding the law. Government agencies' use of civil power violates the people's fundamental right to vote. Constitutional elections are those by the people of Michigan freely choosing their servants as a result of their individual and collective will. The people expect rightful constitutional township elections, secret ballot, public counting of marks, and determination of final tally, subject to in-process resolution of discrepancy via general accounting principles. The election administration in true constitutional form will be deemed to be official acts and will provide sovereign immunity to the township officers involved in conducting the local elections. Michigan constitutional elections provisions must be followed by all government employees with exact due regard in order for acts to be deemed official acts, with immunity granted by the people. Article 2, elections, section 4 strictly defines the various practices of civil power which are prohibited and in violation of the people's fundamental right to vote. Per Michigan Constitution, Article 2, section 4(1)(a), an imposition by an agency of the state, county, or other political subdivision which interferes with the people's election rights cannot be considered an official act. Question: do you see government agencies using law, rules, regulations, practices, or threatening or intimidating conduct, or using any means which has the effect of interfering with or unreasonably burdening the fundamental right to vote? See evidence below. Michigan Constitution, Article 2, elections, section 4(1)(a). The fundamental right to vote, including but not limited to the right once registered to a secret ballot in all elections, no person shall, 1, enact or use any law, rule, regulation, qualification, prerequisite, standard, practice, or procedure. 2, engage in any harassment, threatening, or intimidating conduct. 3, use any means whatsoever, any of which has the intent or effect of denying, abridging, interfering with, or unreasonably burdening the fundamental right to vote. For purposes of this part A, subsection 4(1), person means, among other things, the state or a political subdivision of the state or an agency of the state, or any other legal entity, and that includes the agent of a person. Any attempt to prevent township election administrators from full visual inspection of voted ballots during counting, whether by the Michigan Director of Elections or indirectly by County Elections Commission, is acting in excess of his granted authority by using agency regulatory rules to supersede constitutional mandate set forth in the Michigan Constitution, Article 2, Section 4, elections. The Michigan Director of Elections would be in breach of his mission of the Michigan Trust indenture for this action. Any public grantee attempting to redefine the constitutional contract as subject to adjustment would be deemed as committing a highest order violation of duty and the private commission of an unofficial act. Per U.S. Supreme Court opinion below, there is no immunity for unofficial acts. Maximum of law: that which is granted or reserved in a certain specified form must be taken as it is granted, and will not be permitted to be made the subject of any adjustment or compensation on part of the grantee. Grantors are the ones that wrote the Constitution's grantees are the people that are elected to execute it. Trump versus United States: he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. So if we follow the Constitution, the people grant the people, the persons we've elected, immunity in the conduct of those elections, if that makes sense. I know you said you were afraid that you didn't follow this, the Secretary of State, which is a state or a political subdivision of the state or an agency. It's an agency of the state that's prescribing rules against 2 subsection 4(1)(a). The problem that the people have with the elections is the chain of custody, because the machines, the software on the machines is proprietary. Meaning we don't know what's in there. We don't know what it does with that data. We can be told that it's going to be just fine, but the last time you see that ballot is when it goes in there. We have no, and we're not allowed to look at it because the corporation that made the machine, wrote the software, owns it. The other problem we have: machines do not swear oaths, and they can't testify in court when there's a discrepancy. If a person's counting a ballot and they witness a crime, they witness somebody fraudulently or changing a ballot or whatever, the person can swear an affidavit, can write an affidavit and swear that they saw a crime committed. The machines can't do that for us. It's kind of a black hole. Removable media, from what I understand, they use a removable thumb drive or a chip or whatever to transport the results to the county. I don't know if they transmit them, which would be even worse because that's even less secure. Same thing, there can be an algorithm written on that chip. There's nothing that we know, that we don't know that what we voted on paper went in there. The only audit trail we have is we issued 100 or say 1,000 ballots tonight. The machine counted 1,000. We're good, but we don't know that we're good. There's no way we have, that could be a paper shredder. Because you know, once it goes in that machine, nobody sees it and only the Secretary of State's allowed to open it.
Just to put your mind at ease, we had 2 recounts, one for the trustee's office and one against me. And I went with my deputy and they were extremely careful and accurate, and they counted every ballot to make sure it matched what was we write it down in a book. They went through every single one. And Tony had asked for a recount, and his recount was exactly what the tabulator votes were. And Michelle got one more than me, but that was a judgment call by the Board of Review. The person doing the recount and one of the persons, not the Board of Review, I'm sorry, the canvassers. There was three people in the canvassers. One said no, because they had filled in both mine and Michelle's name with pencil, erased both of us. And they gave it to Michelle because they said her pencil marking was a little darker than mine. So that was a judgment call. The woman doing the recount said, no, that was an overvote. So if they hadn't made that judgment call, that also would have been right on the money. I went to a meeting on Thursday. They did one up in Fort Gratiot. I asked how that one was. It was exactly what the tabulators say. So that should put your mind at rest.
No, I can
about that.
appreciate that, but we didn't have trouble in the 2020 election with local ballots. I'm not talking about local, I'm talking about state and federal. We've all seen the graph, right? Where the middle of the night, the ballots showed up. And that's only possible because they've hamstrung us. We're not allowed to look in the machines. You said you can't open the ballot box. How do we know what's in there? If we don't verify what's in there and then put a lock, we can run them through the tabulator. I'm okay with that. But they should be visually inspected and verified before they go through. You know, there's no
And
name.
that violates your privacy of your
But it
vote.
doesn't, because there's no name on there, right? There's a number.
The person who votes the ballot, when they take it over to the tabulator, that person working there verifies that, and that number on the ballot is the same as the number that the person at the computer wrote down, so that you don't have somebody else's ballot. You have the ballot that was issued to you. They tear that tab off and you put your ballot into the machine. We never touch your ballot except to tear that tab off once it's voted.
The people can do that though. The people can do paper elections, even the board.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying about somebody inspecting it. We know exactly whose ballot it is.
Somebody counting it.
No, but I guess I don't understand.
1970.
You're saying it should be inspected before it gets put in the
I'm saying the
tabulator.
people should conduct the elections under the direction and the guidance, under the guidance of.
I think you should work you can't, you're gonna be on the ballot. You should work in elections, see how the process works. It's very secure. I had Homeland Security out here yesterday. Everything is done to secure the ballots, to make sure nothing goes wrong. Everything is locked up, everything before the election, after the election, nothing is out there for anybody to do anything
Can you
to.
guarantee me though that the electronic data that goes into this, because it's the people.
I can't guarantee you that, you know that, but we
I
have to
guarantee that
trust.
right in the Constitution.
We're all guaranteed rights, but that doesn't mean it always works that way. And I have faith in those machines. They are tested all the time. I've been doing these elections for many, many years. And I've had many, many times where we double check things. We do an accuracy test when the ballots come in. We do a public accuracy test and that matches up. And we don't have the same company. One company's programming it, one company's printing the ballots with the results. They're not colluding. They're two separate companies. So I've got this media here, this ballot and test results here, and they match. So I can't do more than that. I have to assume that all that was done correctly because it all.
We can't assume when it comes to our rights because we saw what happened in 2020. That was not a legitimate election. Maybe at the local level it was, but it was not a legitimate election at the national level.
We have no control of that here.
We do though.
Not here in this room.
We do, but we can make sure that our votes count.
They do. I just told you what happened when we went to the county.
You said you can't guarantee me that.
Okay, I'm done, because you're not gonna
I mean,
understand
but
my
you're
point.
saying that it's not a local problem, but you want local people to fix it.
No, I want us to fix our elections. I don't want.
We
to
don't
fix
have
the
a
national.
problem with
You
that.
just said you had no problem with our election.
I have no problem with the results of the local election because there's not an incentive to cheat like there is for it's all the same ballot. Your local stuff,
You need to take your argument to Lansing then.
no, Lansing is not where we fix it. We fix.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
They
not.
set the rules for us.
So they don't set the rules.
Yes, they do.
Are you a trustee on this township board?
Isn't
Yeah.
3 minutes up? Isn't his 3 minutes up?
You're part of.
I'm sorry,
It
Chief,
is,
You're
I'm
part
trying
of the
to
legislative body,
be.
right? And the legislature, according to the Constitution, the legislature sets the time, place, and manner of elections, and the people are supposed to conduct them. under the guidance of the clerk. That's the way elections are supposed to run, because they belong to the people. They don't belong to the state. They don't belong to a state agency. It says so right here. And you guys can each have a copy of this if you want.
You know,
I'm sure we already got that, didn't we?
No, you didn't get
that
this.
argument dies as soon as you go to court.
We don't have to go to court though.
Yes, you do.
Why do we have to go to court?
To challenge the rules that are imposed that these township clerks have to abide by.
Who said those?
Yeah, who set the rules?
This Constitution says.
No, the Constitution doesn't.
I read through this entire
Flip it over.
paperwork that you gave me.
Let me show you.
I read through the entire thing over the
I'm
holiday.
not making this up.
And I'm not making it up either.
This comes directly from you.
This is a complicated document,
But it's-
and you can't just pick out one piece and say that's the answer, because it's all intertwined with each other.
But you have to read it when it says no person shall. You can't do these things. They cannot enact any, it says no person shall enact or use any law, rule, regulation, qualification. It says that right there. And
Okay,
the township, all the township board has to do is say, you know what, we're gonna hold.
Crazy.
constitutional elections. And the state can't say anything to you.
but we are holding constitutional election. I am more sure than I ever was after reading this, that we're doing our level best to do this constitution at this level.
Can you guarantee me that when my ballot goes in that machine, that what I vote for is what gets transmitted? Do you have evidence?
At this level, yeah, right?
Well, we have that evidence in this election,
Because-
because they were all counted by hand.
Yeah, they-
After they were tabulated, and the result was the same.
They counted a trustee and the clerk, right?
Right.
So they didn't count the federal election stuff. That's the point that I'm getting. Nobody cheats at this level. Nobody cares about winning these positions. They want the top ones and they'll do whatever they have to do.
Well, if you're really well, it's too late now, but if you're really uncomfortable, then you should pay to have a recount done in November to prove to yourself that this is not happening.
A recount for.
You-
I should pay- I should-
I,
When my
well,
government
I
acts
don't,
outside
I
the
don't know
bounds.
what your answer is, because I am comfortable with the results. And I'm sorry, I think if it was another township did it and that came out exactly the same, we came out the same except for the judgment call one, which didn't get
You test the
tabulated.
federal level though. You didn't test.
I'm saying, I understand that, but you can't, it's like Bruce said, you can't pick and choose. You can't say, well, this part of the ballot works, this part doesn't. I'm sorry.
No, well, that's what we
Or
have
this,
to do.
or the way they tabulated it. When I do the test,
All I'm saying
everything matches.
is the Constitution says.
Can we
this, and
move
I'm not-
on?
We're going too short.
I'm not making excuses. The Constitution says that we have to follow this exactly to the letter. And it's in, and anybody that official acts.
And at
would be-
this level, we are following.
Following it.
But you're not. You're-
Yes, we are.
I've come to you with a grievance. I'm saying that my vote, there's no way you can tell me that it counts. I want a sworn affidavit from every one of you that my vote counts. Can I get that in writing, sworn under penalty? That my vote will count for who I vote for.
How do you know it doesn't count?
Because machines are not allowed, to look. We're not allowed to look inside them.
Yeah, but, okay, so what do you expect us to do
15
at
minutes.
this level
Yeah, we need
for
to-
the federal,
I know, I'm sorry.
for the
They want it from us.
Kamala?
Yeah.
the president,
No
for
answer
the
to this.
presidency? How do you expect,
You gotta three.
Angie to transport your vote if she isn't adding it to the machine and the machine is counting it? How do you want?
Paper
her to
ballots. She can write that on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, put a seal on it, like they do with registered mail. With a number and drive that thing up to, and then only person allowed to break that seal is the county clerk. I mean, that's the way they did it up until when they got the machines in the 70s. When we had,
But where do you want her to take it? To DC?
no, to the county clerk, because they compile the results there. All the numbers from here go to the county clerk and she compiles them to go to the state.
Correct.
So if we did paper ballots here,
But how did they tabulate it off at the county clerk's office when they're taking her count from here?
you know, I'm perfectly okay with doing paper ballots, we'll hand count them and then run them through the tabulator. I'm okay with that, if that's what, if that's what we want to, if that's a solution.
If that's a solution, then it would take a group of volunteers
You know what
that get
volunteers?
certified. And maybe you want to do that before the November election, get a group of volunteers, get them certified in whatever they have to get certified in for elections. And I don't know how to accomplish
I
that.
honestly am not sure what the protocol for that would be, and I am not gonna agree to something that I'm not 100% sure. Your best bet would be to call the county clerk, say, what option do I have to secure my vote? And if
Well, I'm
she
not
says
saying we
that,
should do it.
well, I
he
have
wants
to
to
have
do
those
that,
tabulated
that's-
results and I have to take them to the county on the night of the election. I don't have an option. They have to sit there at the county building until every township brings their election results in. And I,
This same in every township, so I'm not sure why, what's the huge discussion? Every township has the same.
and we discussed this last time when I said to you, if we hand count them, I was there from 7:30 in the I'm sorry, 8 o'clock in the morning till after 4, and they only counted 2 positions. Can you imagine if it's the whole ballot? We would be there for days counting these up.
We could get, I'm sure we could get up people, 'cause I know just like hearing what I'm.
And I'm gonna tell you what I said to you before. There's a lot more, the way they did it, they separated everything. They separated everything with, that had Michelle's name, they put in this pile. They switched it around. They counted each other to verify that they did it. It was so time consuming and so meticulous, so there was, to do it. And you're asking something. And our little township, I feel we do a good job. I have a lot of awesome election workers. They do everything the best they can. And if you think that counting it by hand is gonna make a difference, I'm sorry. This was a prime example, this recount. When I came back, I told everybody, now I feel better because I really see that it works. And if you want to do this on a nationwide scale,
Yeah, we should. The difference is we have.
then you
we have
need to
the
go to
eight-
Washington because
have the
you can't do
agency
anything here in
elections. The difference
Columbus.
is
All these things start locally.
Yeah, we have the agency elections right now.
Okay,
And then we could have the township's constitutional elections. Right now, we're doing the agency.
all right,
elections.
we're never gonna agree on
All
this. If you have an issue about your
Here we go.
personal ballot, my suggestion is you call the county clerk, discuss it with her. Ask her if you can put your one ballot in an envelope. I will personally escort it up there on election night, if it makes you
That's
feel
not the
better.
answer, though. You've got a lot of people here that want their ballots to count as well.
I
Like
don't
you
think
have,
it's here that you have the problem with the, if that's the theory, right, is that the count's off. It doesn't happen in Columbus Township. It happens in Detroit.
It could happen in the machine too. That's what I'm saying.
But our count's right here.
The amount of
If you
ballots
look,
issued-
if you look at the amount here that's issued and the amount that goes in, and it always wins Republican in Columbus Township, really in
Do you
St.
want
Clair
me to-
County, it adds up.
Something from the
Troy?
side of things.
Yeah.
Does it add up?
Oh, yeah, that-
How do I know that and it's more about the principle of taking our elections back away from the agencies because they're controlling us, right?
It would be more about the principle of
Excuse me,
larger.
excuse me, Mr. Hart, and I know we've been kind of going across the board here with everything. I wanted to kind of address a few things that I know from the legal side of things. When it comes to what you're presenting. Now, I actually appreciate what you're saying here today, and I do understand where you're coming from. I just think that your request for redress at this venue is probably inappropriate. And the reason for that is when you start the Constitution of Michigan, the Constitution of the United States is a delegation of the people's power to the state or to the federal government for the right working of the republic, right? That Constitution delineates 3 branches of government that is divided, the authority is divided among 3 branches of government. You have legislative, executive, and you have judicial, right? So and the legislative side of the Michigan Constitution provides authority to the legislature. All right?
Yeah.
And everything that filters down from the legislature to junior legislative bodies, including this one here today, is only a delegation of the power from the legislature. The people that sit at on this board here today are only limited to their jurisdictionally by the delegation of power from the legislature. And so your redress with issues may be true, but the redress needs to be brought to the legislature.
This is my legislature.
This is not your legislature.
It
The
says
state,
Article 7, Section 17 says that this is a corporate body, Section 18.
it is a
says-
delegated, it is a delegation of power via the Constitution, which delegates power to the legislature.
Delegated
and then-
authority.
Yes, the legislature
Not
has that
lawfully,
approach.
not lawfully, you can't. Maybe legally, you can write it in a statute and try, but it's unlawful delegated authority. because-
These are constitutional issues that are not within the purview of this board.
But they are, because the county commissioners even published in April, they published a resolution saying that the townships could do paper ballots. They said that.
And so
That's the next echelon, not that they're in charge of this body, but they did say, they put it on paper. I gave it to Angie.
And so is your request here today
It's not-
to adopt a resolution to have paper ballots.
So people want paper ballots.
Is it your proposal today
Yes.
that you are requesting the board vote table?
I'm not requesting, see, the thing is, Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution says that I have the right to instruct my representatives lawfully according to the Constitution.
And
that's
respectfully,
what-
I think you've done well to instruct them here today.
Yeah, and then
Right,
instruction
but
means they're supposed to follow my instructions.
They don't have to follow your instruction.
Oh, well, really?
Well, they don't, because what happens if the next person up instructs them differently? So what?
Okay, so, okay, if I give them instruction and I read them line by line, precept by precept, right out of the document that they swore an oath to, the next person comes up, if they're not saying the same thing, then they can't. See, if I'm saying something wrong, if I'm reading this wrong, then I'm wrong, but I'm not reading it wrong. It's very clear.
And
That's
where
clear.
does one make redress for violations
That's a
of
legislative
years?
body.
No, it does not. That is the judicial branch.
I'm a lawyer.
Negative.
That-
Read it.
That is the judicial branch.
Read it, it's in the Constitution. I'll find it for you.
Well,
It's not-
and make sure you look up the powers of the judicial branch, because the judicial branch deals with redress for issues like this. And so if that's where you need to go, I would invite you to go there, but coming to the board meeting and instructing them, providing your opinion, you're more than able to do so and instruct the board. However, if you're looking for an actual solution to it, as opposed to just going back around and around, because it doesn't seem like there's anything that anybody here can make or vote a proposal
They
on.
can, they're a legislative body, they can. say-
And so then we should then this needs to be put on the agenda and it needs to be tabled for a vote. But then after the vote, there needs to be finality.
You can't vote away somebody's rights. If they vote to not do paper.
And
ballots,
so then
right,
your
then
redress,
people
sir,
are right.
respectfully, your redress then has to go somewhere else.
No, it doesn't. Legislative body, as a matter of fact, the state legislative bodies, the United States.
If you did this at the state legislature, you would be escorted out by now.
Because they are not in the business of redressing people's grievances. They don't follow the Constitution.
And where would you go if you were escorted out of the legislature in Lansing? You would sue them and you would go to the judicial branch. And at this point, that's where your redress is, if this board doesn't vote in your favor.
But if I go to the judicial, as you recommend, I'm not gonna get a fair trial.
And
You know
so
this as well,
then
because
I
the-
that may, that I understand your position. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm just saying, I understand your position. But those are realities in this world and in this country that we have to deal with. And as much, and I appreciate your efforts here today, but those efforts are a lot bigger than Columbus Township. And they're a lot bigger than this meeting right now.
I think we can fix it, right?
It can start here, but it's not the only place that's gonna satisfy you.
The reason.
Having it done
does
here.
satisfy me, because the reason that I have such a problem is because they won't accept their legislative officer role. It says in the Constitution, they're legislative officers.
And
What-
once your grievances have been addressed here, not addressed, but sounded, then
No, redress
No.
grievance means getting satisfaction for an injury sustained.
we can agree to disagree. You're well over the 3 minutes that's provided on and
Under the Constitution?
pursuant to statute. And pursuant,
The statute
We're
is
not
all,
in
the
statute.
statute, that's the inferior law. The superior law is the law.
no, then you need to file a lawsuit addressing constitutional issues. This is not where you do it. That's
This is where I do it, and this is where. we'll
This is
continue.
where you're choosing to do it and you're not getting anywhere. That's the issue.
This is where it all starts.
This is where it starts, exactly.
And we
It's at
did
the
it
council
somewhere.
level.
We removed the board and replaced them. with
Sure, okay,
people
so
with
that, and that's,
rules.
and I understand, that's fine. You have, of course, you have that right. That's following, that's right. So the next person that comes here is going to be subject to the same laws
Yep.
as we all are.
Statutes. The
Statutes are
The
laws.
statutes have to be written in pursuance.
I spent a long time studying the law.
Written in pursuance of the Constitution.
They are written and they're presumed to be written
You gotta cut it off.
So we've got a statute on the books right now that says there's county
Well,
canvassers are not allowed to do any inspection of the.
I'm sorry, sir, but your redress has to be with the state and not this body.
This is the state. The state is the people. Look it up in your law dictionary. If you look it up, look the people, it's gonna say the state. You look up the state, it says the people.
Can we move on?
Coming together for the conflict, to consult with the common good. The reason we're here now is because the branches are exercising powers that don't belong to them. The Secretary of State is in the executive branch and she's setting all the rules all these rules for the election, not the legislature. That's the reason we're in the trouble. You
That's
can't
what the
get
Court
rid
of Claims is for, sir.
No, we can fix that right here.
It's been 30 minutes. Can we move on, please?
So, just to reiterate.
We're done.
There is no immunity for unofficial acts. So anything done not in pursuance of the Constitution is an unofficial act regardless, because you know as well as I do that a statutory law written not in pursuance of the Constitution is void. Justice Scalia said it, and right now Neil Gorsuch is going around the country saying exactly the same thing.
You're quoting judges, and how did those issues get to the judges? Because somebody brought it to their attention through the judicial
The
branch.
Supreme Court is different than the administrative tribunals that we have here at the county level. They're gonna look at the statutes and say I'm wrong.
You can't stand up here and say that you can't use the judicial branch and then you use the judicial branch as proof that those issues are redressed.
We're talking about an administrative agency versus a constitutional court. Two different things.
All right, well, we're gonna move on. Mr. Warren Head, please.
Thank you. Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to introduce myself. My name is Warren Head and I'm running for write-in sheriff for St. Clair County. I lost the primary by a small fraction and being a rookie.
He's not allowed to campaign on township property.
I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to campaign on township property.
Okay.
Yeah,
Statute or?
it's within 500 feet.
100.
Yeah,
This isn't voting.
because I can't say here and say vote for Phoebe,
It-
you know.
Yeah, but
That's,
you're on the board, you can't do that. He's not.
why couldn't, you know,
At a voting. Those rules.
There's usually- I mean, are you?
I mean, is he campaigning or is he just saying what he's doing?
I am campaigning.
He's introducing himself.
There you go. Thank you.
I think he's allowed to introduce himself. I don't know if he's allowed to push policy though.
Well, I'm introducing myself as a candidate for St. Clair County Sheriff, so I'm not sure what boundaries I have now that you said that, so. What do you want, Supervisor?
I'm just gonna ask him for the vote.
Because we did that for Rob too, so we can't pick and choose
I'll
too.
come
You know
back.
what I mean? We can't be like, well, you can, but you couldn't, you know, so.
Want to discuss it and I'll come back if whatever. You tell
Leave
me.
that in place.
My feeling was we've never allowed campaigning in here, you know, and for people to know we aren't campaigning too, you
I'm
know,
arguing
so.
with you. I'm a rookie to this, so whatever you as a board say, that's fine. I don't.
And we already turned somebody else down too, so we don't want to be like, oh, we let him, but we didn't let you, you know, so we have to treat everybody the same, so.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
What a
Yes,
nice
sir.
gentleman.
What happened to your timer? And why do we have an armed St. Clair County Sheriff in our lobby?
Okay, the timer I gave back to the person I got it from because everybody ignored it last month. Showed a total lack of respect for the board. And it was a free-for-all. And so I thought they don't respect us anyhow. They're not gonna go to 3 minutes. That's why I let him talk. Because he would have just got mad if I didn't. And I don't understand why we are your friends and relatives and neighbors, but all of a sudden we're treated like dirt, like we're some kind of criminals. And we're not. We're up here doing the best job we can do, following the statutes and the laws of Michigan, as well as the Constitution to the best of our ability. And we're being portrayed as villains. And I don't understand that. I mean, I sat and read all of this Constitution stuff over the holiday and looked up everything that I had any question about. And it's a very complicated document and it's all intertwined. And so you can't just pick little pieces out here and little pieces out there and say that's what matters. His interpretation apparently is different than my interpretation. And everybody has their own interpretation, I'm sure. But I'm telling you what, we are doing our level best to do the job correctly. And I have been very, very liberal at listening to people and to doing what I can to help them and to try to do the right job and solve people's issues. And I'm just getting crapped on. And so are the rest of us. And it's just not right. And I'm not saying you're doing it. I really
Thank
am,
you.
I really am not saying
I-
you're doing it.
Don't think I have an issue with you, and I hope you don't have one with me, but it was just a simple question.
No, all right, and the reason I brought the sheriff in is because I have had a dozen people tell me they were afraid. Because of how heated it got last month by certain people, especially after the meeting was over. And they were upset and they told me, please, have somebody here to keep the peace, because nobody's gonna listen to anybody on that board.
You wanna talk about afraid? Last Friday, and I wasn't gonna bring this up.
I read
whatsoever.
your
You
post.
read my post, okay, I'm gonna repeat it. I was getting ready to go to my 55th class reunion. I was dressed up, I look in my front yard, I'm 500 feet off the road. There's a car on my lawn. What's up with this? So I ran outside, he's gone. He's in my woods, turning around. He drove up to me, videoing me, asked me who I'm voting for. I reached in the car and he gunned it. I need shoulder surgery right now. I better not catch him. That is assault with a deadly weapon.
Well, sure it is.
Brett, you, more than anybody else, know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
Assault with a deadly weapon. He ran me down. I was on the ground. This is 2 miles away.
Just because I'm interested in knowing, so I can walk my house.
I'm sorry.
Where do you live?
Crawford
Street
Road.
On Crawford?
Yep.
There's a lot of crazies out there.
I'm not blaming you or the board. I'm just telling you what happened to me
And
in
who
my
knows?
township.
And who
Last
knows what
Friday.
sparked that? I mean, you didn't have anything that drew him to your front yard, right?
I had no signs whatsoever. I've got a limestone driveway and he was on my lawn with his car.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm gonna catch him.
I don't doubt that. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on then. There was no,
I'd like to say.
all right,
This township? I don't believe you do,
Answer is no.
so.
Where I
This is
live
the
is
town-
none of your business.
Oh, yes, it is, because I am in the township,
Excuse
and
me,
this is
are
the
you
township
attacking me?
meeting.
Are you
No, I'm not
Are
attacking
you,
you.
I think you're the one who told me you were gonna shut my mouth at the last meeting.
Oh, no, it wasn't me, actually, but was not me. But if you're not a township resident, then you should not be allowed to speak.
Bruce.
Really?
Yes, really.
all right. Go ahead, say what you gotta say, Ms. Ferguson.
I would like to, emphasize on what Mike said there. The clerk decides the place, the time, and the manner of the election. That's it.
That's not true. This Constitution sets the time, the place, and the manner. I just read that a week ago.
That's right. Place the time,
Not the clerk, the Constitution.
place the time and the manner.
Mhm.
And if your name's on the ballot, you should be working the ballot.
Okay.
Now, if you want to claim that the elections are safe and secure, then I'd like to share my experiences with you. You see, on primary day, we caught the clerk working, not your clerk. We caught a clerk working the count. After, after 8 o'clock, I start the count. She was being challenged on the ballot. So I don't think that that is, safe and secure. And, in here, in this Constitution, I would also like to point out that I looked up attorney in this Constitution. Do you know where that's found in? The word attorney. Yeah, the word attorney is in Article 1. And that is declaration of rights. And that's only if someone chooses to have them as counsel. And I believe that's in Article 113, subsection 13, conduct of suits in person by counsel. And it says in his propria persona. Here it says something different, proper person, or by an attorney. Nowhere in this Constitution does it talk about the board having or the taxpayers paying for any attorney. Because he's not to be instructing you, the people are. Change starts at home. This is where you take your arguments, is right here at home. And I would like to comment also on being threatened here at the last board meeting. I was told if I didn't shut up, I was yelled at many a times. Shut your mouth, shut up. Someone asked a question and then the little body of group, like bullies. Well, I don't bully. I don't back down. So I said, come and make me shut up. Because I exercise my rights. So I'm grateful to see the police here today because they're needed. And I wonder who orchestrated all of that.
Well,
Doesn't
nobody
matter.
orchestrated
Doesn't
it,
matter
and
to me.
it's clear that you're bucking for a fight, but you're not gonna find one here.
I'm bucking for a fight.
But you're not gonna find one here.
Where's that at? How am I bucking for a fight? When I got up to walk up here, I started getting attacked. Are you from here? You got no right to be here. Well, let me tell you something. I am part of We the People. And that is from nation to nation. That's all 50 states. So, I don't know. I don't know where you guys are getting this, that we only serve the people of this community. When you injure one, you injure all of us. That's how the Constitution was written. When Mike spoke about no immunity for unofficial acts, he's talking about the four corners of this book. And this is official. How you act and conduct yourself and represent your people of your community.
So
Is
she
what it's
Columbus,
about.
but talking.
Excuse me, I'm talking. So that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the four corners of this Constitution that you're sworn on to. It bothers me to come to a board and sit in I go to many board meetings. Many. I'm gonna tell you, I'm praying for this one. Because you need it. We are not to be sitting here tearing each other's throats apart. We are not to be sitting here slandering and making rude comments with each other.
I don't think anybody on this board did. I think you had
Excuse
a
me, I'm
problem with
talking.
somebody in the community.
You let me finish. Listen,
Hey,
take cotton out of the mouth, put it
Enough.
out of the ears, put it in the mouth.
We need to move on.
It started when someone posted something very rude about me. That was, childish. And that's how this board's gonna conduct themselves. Well, then, the people need to replace you, or better yet, I got one better. How about you redeem yourself? How about you get in the proper form of government, which is what the people are simply asking of this board to do. Repent. Because if you don't repent, there is no immunity. And, you know. Get right with God.
Move on, move on.
I am
No,
done. And I will move on when I say so.
no,
because-
no,
Yes.
your time's done. We got a meeting to conduct here.
That's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we're talking about. So,
Yep.
see you next month.
Of course. Thank you so much.
That's your address. You can have my address because I live in this township. You do not. You go around to all the meetings, and cause trouble. and start.
All right, let's have some order and let's move on. Approval of agenda.
Oh, we didn't have communications.
I said there was no
Oh, I'm
communication.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Angie wanted to add
Oop.
something.
Okay, I wanted to add just, under, I don't know if you want it under old business or new business. It's
Old
just,
business.
okay, election. Just put election, the clerk's election.
I'm just calling it election. All right, now, anything else to be put on there?
I'll make the
Approval of
motion
agenda, motion?
to approve the agenda with the addition of election under old business.
I'll support.
So to add old business, election. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Carried. Sorry about letting it go on so long. I thought it would help to let them air whatever we wanted to. Approval of minutes from August 13th. 2024. So. Just want to point out that this says June 14th on 2022.
I'll correct the date. I have a draft thing that I use and I forgot to change it. With a little fragile. So it'll be.
I wasn't here, so I can't make a motion.
I'll make a motion
Just to let you guys know, you're
with
waiting
the
on
minutes
me.
from August 13th, with the date correction at the top.
With the date correction, okay.
I'll support.
For writing again. I ain't wasting my fucking time.
Okay, Christie, yes, Dudek?
Yes.
I don't think Kim's gonna follow through. I have a feeling Kim's gonna bail on this board. I gave her
Excuse me
about
here. Berenger?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Duncan?
That's fine. Oh, wait, I'm like, all
I had to count them. Okay. Treasurer report. You have anything you want to tell us?
We did get our liquor control money. So we did get that from the fees that people pay, the tickets or whatever that they pay. I don't know if it's tickets, but yeah, the liquor control money that they get. So yeah, it was just a little bit under budget. But otherwise, nothing special.
Everything's under control.
Yep, yep.
It all looks good to me.
Oh, I could bring it up too. So for ZBA, how we had that meeting for the park. Does the board want me to make an adjustment? Or not an adjustment, like a journal entry to charge the township, because I don't have to write checks, it's all within the same bank,
Yeah,
because we have to pay for it.
so we had one for the park to change the setback so we could do the pavilion. Do we need to do a paperwork? thing?
I can print the journal entries that I make, it's just showing that I'm
It'd be
creating an
like an
expense.
internal thing.
Yeah,
Exactly, it's like creating an expense and then creating a revenue,
Yeah,
pretty
just
much.
print it
And
out.
I can print it out, so I've been like wondering like what. good
Yeah,
one
just
to do.
print it
Because
out.
we realized we couldn't write
so
a
that
check,
everything's
Well, we
copacetic.
could, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's not really worth it.
because I would have to write a check from the general fund to the general fund.
Cause it's all the pool.
Right, well, it'd be better to show it.
Yeah,
So I'll
it
make
shows
I'll make the journal entries and I'll print it out and I'll bring it next to you guys.
All right, anything else?
Nope, that's all I have.
Take a motion to file.
I'll make a motion to file the report.
I'll support.
Duncan,
Yes.
Dudek,
Yes,
Christie, yes. Hillman,
Yes.
Berenger,
Yes.
Gary.
Oh, and one more little thing too.
Oh,
So
no, too
Our,
late.
our PNC bank, we used to get $8 interest monthly. I talked to the bank, now we're getting over $800 monthly.
Yeah, so what happened to that?
They changed it to a different type of, a different form. I talked to a lady and she said that I had to get approved even though we don't have much activity in there. And now we're getting over $800 a month.
And there was no mistake.
Nope.
They just
It's
changed the
just
account.
because we don't have activity, so that's how they wanna do it, like if we had more activity, but she wanted to see if. She had to send it to the higher ups to get approved and they approved us, so we're getting way more money in that bank account, so.
Hey, check register.
But of course, we have to keep them in mind if we're searching for bank for, so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll keep your number, so.
Absolutely. I'll call you. Okay. I have that one void for a penny because the check printed wrong and I had to make a penny transaction.
I wondered what that penny was at the end. I couldn't figure out where it came from.
Yeah.
And she had to like create she had
I had
to
to-
input the check.
So and it shows up, so it doesn't show up
Yeah.
as a missing check.
Right, I'll make a motion to approve the check register. Checks 4790 through 4841
Brad.
with 4 EFTs. 117 through 120,
So what the fuck was,
Brett's getting, you know the whole board.
36,893 and 42 cents.
Say the
Amount.
check numbers again.
4790,
4790 and 48 what?
41,
And then
4 EFTs,
117 through 120.
correct?
What was the total?
36,893 and 42 cents.
camera two,
Huh?
camera two. What, you put both them good ones at your place?
Just now.
Oh, and while we're talking about the check register, just know I've been trying to get hold of DTE to have them give us a credit for the park, because we went 6 months without any lights in the park, but they still charged us.
And I contacted our guy today too.
Did you? I haven't had anybody respond to
All
me.
right, so I contacted DTE Lighting, the guy who's assigned to us today. He's gonna look into it. He said he'll give us a credit.
Yeah, because it's around, well, if you see on the bill, it's like 270 something a month just for the park lights. Times 6 months is a lot of money that we
Yeah.
shouldn't have to pay.
well, but When did they officially come back on?
I noticed it on the morning.
Yeah.
I was coming in on election morning. They were finally on, because
Just
I came
beginning
here
of
like
August.
5 a.m.
So there should be no bills.
Well, they should give us some credits,
What they're
yeah,
gonna do is put a credit on there, I
Yeah.
think, and then we'll just work it off.
because those lights went out in January.
Yeah.
So is there a second on this check register? I'll second. Okay, Berenger,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Christie, yes, Dudek,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
motion carried. Okay, ordinance officer, there's no official report, but we do have, an issue brewing. There's a monastery, a church, some kind of place of worship over on Hessen Road that we've been getting a myriad of complaints about. There's a bell tower, I guess they built, and they're ringing the bell at all odd hours. And so I don't know exactly what's going on there, but apparently the place has been there for a long time. But now they've added a sign and added a bell tower and that, and, I have the attorney looking into it. Tracy knows about it. If you'd like to speak on that.
Sure. I think there's really three issues that have kind of come up from what the complaints that I've seen and conversations I've had. One is, there's either a bell tower or steeple or something that's been constructed, that has not been inspected. And no permits have been pulled according to the ordinance officer. The other issue is the sign, of course, and the sign doesn't seem to have any permits pulled for that as well. And then the other concern has been neighbor complaints for noise. And so looking into the ordinance, apparently based on the complaints, there's been ringing of bells at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. And it seems to be outside of the, any type of musical instrument, which a bell would fall into, or any other racket, isn't limited to the time limits on the ordinance. It's open all, and then it would require a finding that it's some kind of nuisance and it's not reasonable. So we're looking into that. There's some issues though that come up with that, with the freedom of expression under the Constitution for religious beliefs. And so we're kind of putting a report together to make sure we're.
So they came before the board before.
They
You
built
remember
that, they built,
Years ago.
originally, it was a garage and they converted it into the church, yeah.
And it was at that time, they said that they would keep it.
Yeah, you wouldn't
within a
even know
certain
they were there,
means, and they wouldn't know
Yeah.
they were there. It was only for their own little local
Right.
community of Roman Orthodox.
right?
And they brought over, priests, monk, something,
Yeah.
yeah. That's been years.
We haven't contacted them yet.
You know, maybe.
Well, I don't wanna jump the gun and do something to violate their rights. You know? That's it, right?
That's it.
Okay, so we'll finish finding out what we gotta find out, and we'll do what we need to do. All right, there was no assessor report, so we'll move on to old business, which is election. The election's always old business and new business, because there's always an
There's
election.
always an election, correct? I just thought it would be easier if, instead of coming every time there's an election, that saying, would the board approve me having $500 to feed and buy supplies that I need for the election? If we just make it a resolution or just say, let's pass this, that we'll allow it.
Policy.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word for a minute. Make a motion that this will just be the policy that we'll do this. I don't usually spend anywhere near that, but then you never know what the prices of things are going to be. So it just would make it a lot. I mean, I wouldn't have to remember to come.
Can I call it up to 500?
Yeah. I think this last time I spent 275. But, sometimes we have to buy paper products and stuff
And
like
so we don't
that.
have to buy as much this time.
Yeah.
Because we did earlier.
Yeah, 'cause I bought some in February.
And for the, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a suggestion. How about approaching some of our vendors, as in the auditor or somebody else, or maybe staffers, whoever does business with them, to see if they would chip in and cover the cost of the election luncheon.
I highly doubt we're gonna get
Could
that.
ask them though, it never hurts to
Yeah.
ask.
I can ask, but I still would like to pass this and if they're willing to do it, but
You know?
just
Usually a lot
know
of
that we're
companies.
not their only customer and that could get costly for them. I'm sure they're. You know, when you're in business, you're working on the edge most of the time.
trust
how
me,
would
they
we
come in all
credit-
the time
yeah.
asking for.
Yeah, and
funds.
how would,
And
yeah,
that's the hard bit.
and we made that policy years ago that when people came and asked the township, we couldn't pick and choose, oh, we're gonna give this little league team money, but we're not gonna give this Pee Wee football money or whatever. We kind of made it a policy that that was when Pat was still here. And I mean, we have a new auditor, so that, and they're in Monroe County, so they're not anywhere near here.
Well,
I'm not
it's
gonna
still,
give them
you ask the upper end, hey, would you, $50?
Wouldn't hurt to make some calls.
Yeah, if you ask 3 or 4 of them
Give
for
me a
$50
list of the people you want me to call. It may not, it won't be before this election
I can't
because,
think of anybody else that you.
yeah,
you
I don't know anybody else that we
It's
use.
just, it's hard to get money from people, especially
Yeah.
nowadays,
Yeah.
nobody has money.
I know money's
so,
tight
yeah.
everywhere. I mean, if you have some other ideas, I can try calling.
I think, there's always local, like Tees Roadhouse, but. I don't know, but he may be struggling too, that's the thing, like.
I know the last time, one time he came in here, he said his bread vendor had raised his prices 35% for bread.
Exactly, so it's just.
Well, Bruce, you buy supplies for your store.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, for the banks may donate food, because any luncheon I go to, I've always had it free, because the banks pay for it, the banks are where the money is.
Yeah.
That's where the money is.
What do
the
we
bank.
use, 7 different banks?
Right, never
Money
hurts to
bank.
ask.
There's your starter list, Angie.
They're the money bank.
All right,
That's the only place I know that would give money.
Your list.
so are we gonna make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that, the clerk can use, for elections up to $500 per election. For, food and different,
And supplies.
supplies needed, for the workers and stuff.
And we'll try to get some.
And to look
sponsors.
into, see if there's any sponsors,
I'll support it.
and to make it a policy. If that,
Okay.
if you want.
So make a policy for the.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Brett did.
Oh, I knew that, I was testing you. Okay, Christie, yes. Dudek,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Berenger,
Yes.
Keelman,
Yes.
carried.
Okay, now that popped into my head, could we also make it a policy just to pay for the clerk's meeting every quarter? Instead of me bringing that, because sometimes I don't get that information until the meeting is already,
This is,
it's usually like $20 to $25.
you give it each, they take them on.
Yep,
I'll make a motion, to approve the clerk to pay for her quarterly clerks meeting. Does that make
That's for
sense?
the meal, right?
yeah. Can't go to the meeting without,
She's making it for me when I've gone free, so it's.
yeah, that's the
Money was
problem. They
saved.
don't do that. But they do different
That's what we're
things.
talking about.
Yeah,
So would this be for all the elected officials, or would it be for just?
well, I'm just asking for mine because you guys
It's-
never.
I don't have, I have, mine aren't quarterly, they're like, oh, yeah, we're having a meeting, so, and I've never had to ask for money, but I don't know for you, Bruce, do you have?
Doesn't matter.
Do you
to
have
me.
quarterly meetings?
Not anymore.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't know that either. Yeah. Stipend.
I'll support.
So are we just saying clerks right now?
I guess.
Yes.
we
Okay,
can.
just because we know that they're steady and they are quarterly,
Well, at least the clerk's one goes over stuff that's pertinent.
Especially nowadays, that's,
Oh,
they're long.
no,
long-
hear what he's saying?
No, I didn't hear him. I'm sorry.
That after the meeting, the clerk goes over what is pertinent at the next.
Well, I was
meeting.
there for 3
Oh, okay.
hours 3.5 hours.
I'm okay with that, yeah. I just meant they actually have stuff they go over and
Oh,
not.
yeah.
just see you get one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot.
with the
a lot.
elections especially.
Actually, we had the vendor who does the machine, the vendor who does the ballots came and talked and.
But
and
not
we
the
went-
county.
Yeah, it's- yeah.
The county didn't show up.
Yeah, the county clerk and and her deputy didn't. Kim came.
You know.
All right, so I got to pay for meal for quarterly meetings for clerks and the clerk to go over pertinent information with the board. Got Duncan and Keelman, is that acceptable?
Sure.
Dudek,
Yes.
Christie, yes. Berenger,
Yes,
Keelman,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
carried. North Star, CDR, new business.
So it is going up for renewal. This is the account that we can have over 250,000 because they split it up among other banks. So we don't have to touch the excess money. I gave you an updated one. It should have been sitting, I think it's right there. There we go. Yeah, because it changes constantly, you know, the rates do. So the 26 and the 52 went up, I think 5.5% compared to last time. Yeah, 0.05%. The two bottom ones went up within a week. So, but they said it's really fluctuating right now.
Yeah,
That's what they said. It's like,
it probably went up again because the stock market.
this
went
is,
down.
this is good till tomorrow. I mean, so I have to lock it in. Yep.
it says right there.
No, it's
new.
very CDRs. I have to be very
What was it at?
specific on.
What rate was it at the last time? Remember how long?
What
we did it?
rate are we at right now?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I'd have to
Wasn't
look.
it
They're always
almost
high. I
5?
think- So I think last time, so I just inputted it and we made about $900 in interest. So maybe 4.5%, I'm thinking. I think it was around 4.5%. Cause that's what the PNC was and it was 4.5%. It was around $900. a
You're
month.
figuring 26 weeks is your best bet at 4.3.
Yeah, to me, you can find out. Yep.
I always think they would give you a better interest rate when they hold your money longer because they've got their.
No, they
Yeah,
say it's actually advantageous
think
for
they're
them
planning on
to
it
not
dropping.
do that, you know, cause then people take
Kinda
it,
wait,
and then
doesn't
it
it?
goes to, you know, yeah, then we'll renew to a lower rate, you know. That's what the bank have told me at least, so.
They claim there's a 50-point basis gonna
So
happen.
you,
in the
did you
interest
motion
rate.
that?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, he did?
I did.
So 26 week,
To approve the 26
Is
weeks.
there a second?
I'll second.
Gilman,
Yes.
Christie, yes. Berenger,
Yes,
Duncan,
yes.
Dudek,
Yes.
I think it was a lower term we took last time
Carried.
too, so yeah, I think it was a
And this
lower
is-
term but a higher rate,
and,
so.
and when I put it in 26 weeks at 4.3%,
is there nothing else? to discuss?
approximately 250.
This is what the bank statement as of the end of August was,
So it'll
so there
be-
may be a little bit
Okay,
more,
so
yeah,
approximately.
yep, yep.
Okay,
So that's as of August 31st.
okay.
Any further discussion?
I do. So the Surface laptops that we bought 7 years ago are outdated and dinosaurs,
Surface Pros,
Surface Pros.
yep.
What are we gonna do with them?
We're supposed to give them back when we are not.
But if we're at 7 years and you can't update them, is it even worth?
You
turning them
signed
back?
something though? I know we
What?
signed something.
Can we buy 'em?
We should have signed something.
Oh, I do have signed things. that
Yeah,
I also.
way back.
What we saying is, what are we gonna do with them when you get them back? Can we buy them?
I don't,
Oh,
I don't
I thought
know,
it was
Because they're
sort of a-
7 years old, they're not really worth anything but paperweight at this point.
but my feeling is if that's the case, then we need to get them back and wipe them clean.
well, that's, well, when we, it's, yeah,
Yeah,
but you're saying
Right.
buy them? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
But
saying?
if you want to keep yours, you keep it.
Yeah,
I don't want mine.
so
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm just saying it's an option
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want
I
it.
don't want mine, but it's too little.
and then what about my computer too? What are we doing with that? Cause we're in the midst of replacing them right now.
yeah, but the MTA magazine that we got.
I know you gotta turn stuff in.
Actually says in there, we, all the things that are required to turn in when you leave office. Computers, laptops, tablets, all that is.
Unless you buy them, right? I
Pardon?
mean, but if it was
I don't-
township
I've
property, but
never-
if we bought it,
Property, you know. because-
So
I don't have
are
anything
we
to
selling
on
any of
mine.
this stuff is the point.
He's wondering if we can buy it from the township. I don't know. I've never heard. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'd have to check into that. I
Well,
can
who
call.
do we
I
have to
can
check
call-
into?
You don't have to check with anybody because there's nothing on it. It's just a thing to use for
Well, your
emails.
laptop is full of stuff, isn't if you have to turn it in, isn't that information that the next supervisor would need to have?
No,
Old emails?
no, that's private.
No, it's not.
The emails are not kept on here, they're in the cloud.
Emails would just be, your email address. you'd
I mean,
have
I
to
could
give
go
to the-
grab that magazine that just came the other day and read all the things. Steve, what do you,
I'd like to see what that magazine says.
I can go grab it real quick.
I mean, we can,
I don't,
Yeah, but maybe something that takes, gotta look into.
yeah, then we can.
Well, I mean, it don't matter to me either way, but I mean, if we're just gonna put it on the shelf after I'm gone,
No, I agree.
maybe I'll give you $100 for it. or
Yeah.
something. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or we can all just smash them like at the end. Yeah.
That might be worthwhile.
A little rage party.
And while she's looking at that, I have another one on, and I know it's not really that important at this point, but the people that are, I know the one on Short that's living in their garage, we now charge taxes for, correct? And they charge garbage for the one on Short?
I don't remember. I remember we looked into this a long time ago. I don't.
Curious on that
remember.
one, and I'm curious on the one over here on.
We did charge trash for it. We did it for anybody that we knew were living them because obviously we want to get money for something. I don't know what they're being charged at for assessing purposes, like on
Big Hand
houses
has
and everything. Pardon?
Actually, that one over here on Big Hand is 2 residences on one property.
Yeah,
There are some that I do have multiple residents for, but it's stuff that I know from over time, like apartments and,
Like
there
we're-
are
we're-
probably
we're
a few
stand-
of them that I have.
Where Stan lives, you charge for more than
Yep.
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's 3 houses.
Yeah,
Like I said, so this one, they built a garage and then they moved into their garage and into the house. So there's 2 residences generating 2 sets of garbage, but only paying.
And
for
I don't
one
know
garbage.
how our policy is for something like that, for, yeah. I-
And you're not collecting tax on the garage at the house.
Right.
Well, that brings up the one on Rattle Run that they don't live in, but do you charge garbage to
Yes.
them?
Yeah, everything that we knew people were living in, like the barns, we did charge trash, but the double residency, I don't know. We've never, that's a new one, so I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing brought it up, I saw 10 trash cans out the other day. I figured,
It's what they're supposed to have a
Literally.
limit, markets sometimes.
They're
good at
very
that.
strict. They will
Yeah,
send us
I'm
an
thinking.
email
took
and,
them all.
They took it out,
Oh.
okay.
because a lot of times they'll they'll email us all and say, they had too much and
You
they.
could let Mark Hot know
Yeah,
and be like, hey, this residency, you need to make
Right.
sure you really stick to the limit on that, If you want us to do that, I mean, I can call,
Sure.
I can email them easily, about that.
She-
At least look at, at least. But I mean, that's just going around the problem still, but I don't know.
But we're not gonna solve it in 2 months with something else.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. What is the address to, do you know? In a second. No.
Well, don't be shy to quiz the new people on what they're gonna do about those issues either.
Oh, no. You have to pull up 9450 Big Hand.
Okay.
So did you get him what he needed to get?
I'll give a report. I need they cite a couple statutes that I want to make sure.
Oh, so you'll let us know like next month?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
just want you to know that working on the park. Got a big culvert into that new parking
Yeah,
area.
the,
Walking trails,
the trail
They got
upgrades
some
and then the parking
I
area.
see piles of stone.
And I've talked with Steve Nickel and, signed that paperwork for the,
Pavilion.
Is that going in the old parking lot area or?
Yes.
It is.
It's going in the old parking lot area and it's a when he gets to it thing.
Are they going to have to remove trees? Are they
No.
gonna, oh, no, well, that's, I thought they would maybe have to move them somewhere, but.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. All right,
That's a lie.
thank you all for coming. Glad to have you all out here. And we'll see you next time.